Okay, I'm recording this in a damn that's loud. I'm recording this in a different area than where I usually record it, and I got a mic now. Um, this is probably not gonna be how I record most of my videos, but I had the opportunity, so I took it. Drew Holiday just got traded to the Celtics. Yeah, I just talked last week about when I talked about the Dame trade. Watch that video if you didn't watch it yet. I talked about how Drew Holiday would actually be a pretty good addition to the Celtics to the Blazers, because he could help develop Scoot, because Scoot is a young guy and he could use some young development. So I thought that the addition of Drew Holiday to the Blazers would be a pretty good addition, you know what I'm saying? But then he got traded to the Celtics. And looking at the full deal, it was Drew Holiday to the Celtics, and the Blazers get back Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, and 2 first-round picks. Now, first of all, let's just talk about from the Blazers standpoint. We might as well. The Blazers traded they traded away Dame and got back Drew Holiday and a bunch of other things. And I originally liked the package that they got back. A lot of people didn't agree with me, but I thought that the Blazers actually got back a really decent package, and I liked the direction that they were going in. And then they traded away Drew Holiday. And I mean, now I still like the package that they got back, especially because they got back Robert Williams in the most recent deal. But now it's kind of iffy because this team is weird. They have a bunch of bigs, a bunch of guards, and not many forwards. Because you got Scoot Henderson, you got Anthony Simons, you got Malcolm Brogdon, you got Shaedon Sharpe. And you got, for the big side, you got DeAndre Ayton, you got Jeremy Grant, who's pretty much a big, you got Robert Williams most recently. And so you got bigs, you got guards, and then you got in the kind of wing forward area, I guess you have Matisse Thybulle, Chris Murray, what's his name, Rayon Repair. And it's interesting. I mean, now I'm wondering what the starting line is going to be. And so are they going to have Robert Williams coming off the bench? Because when you think about it that way, they're probably going to start Scoot if Malcolm Brogdon's the other point guard. Originally, I thought they were going to start Jrue Holiday because Jrue Holiday is an all-star caliber player. But now you have Scoot and you have Malcolm Brogdon. And Malcolm Brogdon isn't at the level that Jrue Holiday is at. So when you have a guy like Malcolm Brogdon, it'd be more favorable to start Scoot Henderson for his development. Because Malcolm Brogdon isn't really... He's good, but he can be good off the bench. You don't really need to start him. Scoot Henderson, it'd be better to develop him and have him starting. So then you probably have Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, still Matisse Thybulle. And then it gets iffy because do you run Robert Williams at the 4? But then again, that pretty much lowers your shooting in the starting lineup to a very low spot because Scoot's not the best shooter. Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton aren't the greatest shooters. Matisse Thybulle can't shoot. It's really Anthony Simons who's the only shooter in that rotation. So you can't start Robert Williams. You gotta start Jeremy Grant to add a little more shooting to the team. And then you have Robert Williams off the bench. And that just makes you, I guess, a deeper team with Robert Williams and Malcolm Brogdon both coming off your bench when they can both be good starting pieces on championship winning teams. So I guess for the Blazers it's a W, but I still think this team just looks weird. I mean, it could work, but it just looks odd. It looks odd to me, and I can't wait to see what happens. I'm excited to see how the season goes for the Blazers, because with Scoot Henderson, there's a lot of questions around him. Well, really, I'm the one posing the questions around him. A lot of people think he's going to be good. I'm still questionable, but we have to see what happens with Scoot Henderson. It's going to be interesting. And then there's, of course, DeAndre Ayton, who does actually have a lot of questions around him, because he wasn't that great in Phoenix last year, and he really showed that he really wasn't really wanting to play for the team. And now that he's in a different environment, the question is, will he actually play the level that we can see him play to, that he has the potential to be? Because don't forget, this man was the first overall pick just, 5 years ago. He still has a good amount of potential. He still can reach that level. But we got to see it this year, man, because this is really, he's probably, other than Anthony Simons, he's probably the second or top player on his team. So I'm excited to see what happens. This is my first time using this mic for the. This isn't even my mic. This is my sister's mic. Let me. Pretty much what I was saying. There's questions with this team, and I'm curious to see how it goes. If I ranked the Dame trade like a B+ or A-. I think it was an A-. I think I'd put the Jrue Holiday trade at like a solid B+, because they did get 2 first-round picks back, and they got Robert Williams, who's a great player. They got Malcolm Brogdon, who's a good player. So at the end of the day, it's a W get back or a W return. And you know what I'm saying? It's a good thing at the end of the day. I'm just questionable how it's gonna go. I don't know if the team's gonna be good or bad. It's like they got some guys who can be good, and they got some guys who could be. It's interesting. We'll see what happens, but we'll see. I'll rank it at like a B+ right now, or a B, probably a B+, because they did maybe even I say a B+, because I'm unsure about the team in general. But if you look at this individual trade, it's really good. They got a really good package back just for Jrue Holiday. So that's what you'd like to see. And then you look at Celtics side of this. They get Jrue Holiday. And this team is interesting now because you're probably going to start something like Jrue Holiday. I could imagine them starting Derek White at the 2. Then putting Jaylen Brown at the 3, Tatum at the 4, and Kristaps at the 5. Defensively, that is a nasty lineup. I'm not going to lie. That is a ridiculous lineup defensively. And we'll see how it goes. They are pretty injury prone, though, because Jason Tatum was getting injured last year in the playoffs, and we heard news just a few days ago that he declined the offer to get surgery this past offseason. So we'll see how that affects his game. Kristaps, of course, he had the whole knee thing, so we'll see how that affects his season as well. And Jaylen Brown is good, but he still also can get injured. There's also, Brogdon and Robert Williams were pretty much 2 of their most injury-prone guys, and they traded them away. So I guess that does fix that problem a little bit, but the depth on this team now is not looking great because after their starting lineup, they have Al Horford, but he's old. They have Peyton Pritchard. And they have Sam Hauser and Luke Cornett. So it kind of gets grim after that top 5. They really lost a lot of their depth this offseason in general. Because first of all, they traded away Marcus Smart. And, was it just Marcus? It was just Marcus Smart. They traded away Marcus Smart. Traded away Malcolm Brogdon. Traded away Robert Williams. Lost Grant Williams in free agency. So they lost a good amount of their depth this past offseason. And we'll see what happens, but I'm questionable about this. I'm wondering what's going to happen with the Celtics team. It's just that they have good top end talent. It's just the depth isn't great. So I don't know how good they're going to be. We'll see, but I don't know. And then, because really, even before the trade happened, the Jrue Holiday trade, you could already see Kristaps, Tatum, and Brown as a big 3. And then you add another all-star caliber player to that mix. Jrue Holiday now on that team. Is that a big 4? But it's not really a big 4 because it's not like Curry, Clay, Draymond, and KD where all those guys are all-star every single year. It's like all those guys have the potential. They can be all-stars every single year. So it's kind of odd. Like, they could play at an all-star caliber level because Tatum's a top 10 player in the league. Jaylen Brown's like a top 20, 30 player in the league. Jrue Holiday is an all-star, or he was all-star last year, and Kristaps is like a borderline all-star. So it's a really good core, but we have to see what happens, of course. We still don't know what exactly it's going to be, or what exactly is going to happen. We'll see, but you know what I'm saying? And I think that's all that I really have to talk about. How long is this recording? I'm recording this on OBS. Usually I record it with my phone in the little room downstairs, but I'm recording this with my computer and my little webcam here, the OBS, so it's new. I guess I'd give the Celtics, I'm still unsure about it, but I'll give them an A-. An A-, because Jrue Holiday is still a really good player, and he adds to your defense, which was already one of the top defenses in the league, just makes it even better. So that's a W at the end of the day. And you do lose out on Robert Williams, who's a great defender, and you lose out on Malcolm Brogdon, he was 6th man of the year, right? Or am I tripping? He might have been he was 6th man of the year. You lose out on the 6th man of the year and a really good defensive player, and you get back Jrue Holiday, who's also a really good defensive player. So they did lose a bit. They did lose a decent amount, but I still think they can be good this year. I still think they'll be fine this year. Of course, these two teams that made moves recently in the East, the Bucks and the Celtics, are going to be at the top of the East. We'll see how good they can be, but they're definitely going to be good. Somewhere near the top of the East. I mean, I'm going to have to reshift my whole ranking now because I don't know, like the East completely shifted with, like the West, of course the Blazers are just going to be bad now, or not extremely bad. We don't know for sure because we don't know how good DeAndre Ayton, Scoot Henderson, so there's questions about the Blazers. But in the East, there's a lot more questions now because you're wondering how good are the Celtics going to be. I already had the Celtics and the Bucks pretty close to the top of the East, but now how far do they go up with these new additions? And you also have to take into account injuries because Kristaps, Tatum can get injured, and the Bucks, Giannis could get injured, Middleton, well, not really Brook Lopez, but the Bucks really are getting older and they don't have depth, and the Celtics can get injured and they don't have depth. So it's we'll see what happens in the East, man. This Eastern Conference this year is going to be intriguing, especially with all the young teams at the bottom of the East, and then all the powerhouses at the top of the East, and then the middle of the pack teams like the Raptors and the Bulls who don't want to do anything. So it's gonna be something. I'm excited to see what happens this year. But overall, this trade I would have rather the Blazers kept Jrue, to be honest, and I would have rather the Celtics kept the team the way that it was already. But it is what it is. I'm not the GM. I'm not writing the script. So maybe it works out for the better for either of these teams, but we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, what's the takeaway from this? Now all of the trades that people are expecting to happen have happened. I mean, there's still questions, or almost all of them, except the James Harden trade, because James Harden is going to get traded, because it's either he's going to get traded or he's just not going to play for the team. There's the James Harden trade, and there's the Raptors, who are still in talks with other teams. They've been a team that's been talked about all year with trade talks, and we still don't know if anything's actually going to happen with them. So we'll have to wait and see for that as well. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens for the rest of this offseason. Then I'm excited to see what happens when the actual NBA season comes. So if you want to see me talk about that, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment down below any tips, tricks, or topics you want me to talk about. I am planning to release another season preview later on today. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, that's it for me for now. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.